I brought my wife back to the USA. She disappeared in less than 1 year, 4 years ago. This is one of those topics where I'm sure we're going to have a bunch of contradicting opinions and comments down below. Number one, because nuance is a difficult thing on the internet. I, of course, have my opinion on this topic. Always curious to know what you guys think. Let's have a good time. Let's listen to this story. Heartbreaking, it sounds like. Let's go.
I brought my wife to the US and she left me in less than 1 year. Till 4 years now, I've not seen my wife.
Damn.
It shock you? Okay, listen to this story. A man went to Nigeria in 2016,
Right.
married his wife, and since that day he has been traveling to Nigeria, and he traveled and he started doing papers, arranging the documents. And in 2021, he brought the wife to America. In less than 1 year,
Right.
the wife disappeared till today. 4 years now, the man has not seen his wife. This has been the stories we hear every day.
Mm-hmm.
Many men abroad, they want to marry now, but they are afraid to marry because of all this kind of story.
Right.
Marriage has become transactional. Some people want to use you to climb the ladder of success. Okay, I have a question. You know that you don't love somebody. You agree to marry the person, and the person will do everything to bring you abroad. You dump the person. Okay, look at what happened now. This man, because they are looking for a child, they have not have a child, so they went to the hospital, and they discovered that this lady has done several, okay, and this is causing infertility. So they need extra grace for them to have a baby. And after this discovery, this lady disappeared. Now, what is causing this? See, if you live abroad, marry wife where you are. Marry where you are, because the loss is too much. You have financial loss, you have time loss, you have emotional loss. This man is 50 years now, he doesn't have a child. And he married because he wants to create his own family. But look at what is going on now. The lady left since 4 years, she has never seen her. And the man is bittered because he spent money, he spent his emotion, he spent everything to bring her. Now, I want to tell you something. There are so many of our young girls, they have traveled to Libya, they have traveled to Dubai, they have traveled to Oman. They have been sleeping with about 50 men a day.
Now, I'm going to assume they're sleeping with 50 men a day by their own choice, because he's saying they've traveled, right? These are willing escorts, that it's not some trafficking situation. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, this story is going so many different directions here. I hope you guys are following. Probably would do a summary here. I didn't realize it was this deep. All right. I didn't realize the coffee was going to be this strong.
And now, 30-something years, they retired and came back home and become Kolinweje. And you that is abroad, you come, you go and marry them. Now look at, they have discovered that this lady have done several. So please, is it not better you marry where you are? Be careful who you marry. Who you marry determines whether you go forward or you go backward. Don't just marry for infatuations. Don't marry for beauty. Look at what happened to this man now. Learn from this man. Else, you're going to learn the hard way. Now, this man is learning the hard way. He's teaching time saves 9. He who fails to plan plans to fail. Because I will never come back. Oh, no. It shock you. Get out of this place. Shut up.
Engaged or soon-to-be married men, getting a prenup doesn't have to be confusing. At fathershaverights.com, we break everything down in plain, simple English so you feel in control from day one. Here's one of our 5-star reviews from Logan. I didn't know much about prenups before, but the way everything was explained made it easy to understand. It didn't feel overwhelming or super legal heavy. It was just real advice that actually made sense. I feel way more secure going into marriage now. Grab the guide for the price of a couple of dinner dates by clicking the pinned link in the comments and join the hundreds of future husbands securing their marriages the right way. All right, so this is the story. This is what I got so far, right? Man is in the U.S., and he goes abroad. It sounds like he's going back. That's what I have. Guys, you can feel free to chime in down below. He goes back to his homeland. This is in Nigeria, finds himself a wife, a bride, but he doesn't know that seems like she was involved in multiple deletions of children. He says the word there that kept on being muted was deletion of children because she was involved in escorting work and he just didn't know that. He just went to Nigeria and found this pretty girl, not knowing her history and her past. Not really relevant to the main subject here at hand. If you ask me, there's a lot of details and information here. The main point here is there are two types of situations that are happening. Okay, let's simplify this. There are men here in the States who are immigrants who are afraid to go back to their homeland and marry, right? They know for sure they don't want the coffee here in the States, right?
This coffee smells like shit.
They don't want it. What am I talking about? They don't want these Western women. They don't cook, they don't clean, and they put their hands on you. Who wants to deal with that in a long-lasting situation where you're committing to somebody to the ends of your days? Nobody. And so they're thinking, maybe I could go back to my homeland, but he's saying, hey, marry where you are. And I think that's the best advice. Now, there's nuance. Here comes the nuance, because people are going to leave blanket comments or opinions that will say, never do this, never do that. It all depends. Because then you have the passport bros. Or if you don't like that label, any man who's willing to go to any other country, doesn't have to be Nigeria or Zambia or any other part of Africa. It doesn't have to be anywhere to find more traditional women who are more traditional minded, who have less Western influence. I think that could also apply. Marry where you are. You might be saying, well, Shisha, what do you mean? Well, you can marry and not bring that woman back to the States, because most likely she will be influenced, most likely, by the feminist culture here. And so what do you guys think? Here's my final point before you guys give your opinion when it comes to this situation, because I've met so many men, bro. And these are immigrants who are here legally in the US. They go back and forth all the time. And they think to themselves, you know what? I want to marry somebody where I come from, but I don't know how I'm going to deal with either bringing them here. Here's where I think this works. And this is where you guys may disagree with me, but I think it's the truth. If you're somebody who's migrating from a country with your wife, like you married her in Nigeria and you guys came up together and your family's doing well, and you bring her here, you have a greater chance. I don't think these rules necessarily apply to that couple, right? You do have a greater chance at making it, even though many of those couples get messed up because their wives come here and they start drinking that feminist Kool-Aid and tea and start disrespecting their husbands. When I say disrespecting, I mean this with nuance as well. Trust me, I know that in certain countries, especially Africa, the respect for a man is just simply for being a man. And I actually disagree with that. Controversial opinion. I disagree with the woman respecting a man for just being a man. Competency has to be accompanied with that. You have to be proven to be a good leader. And so usually situations that men usually run into that they can't deal with is that a woman who come here, maybe she will start making money. He's still trying to figure himself out, has too much pride to get a simple job, Uber Eats, DoorDash. Yes, a lot of them do, but there are a lot of them who have too much pride in that area. Leans on alcohol, can't let go of the fact that his wife may be out earning him, and that creates a toxic environment. This does happen. But more of what happens, which I've seen a lot of, is the wives just become straight up disrespectful because they, for a moment or momentarily so, may be earning more than their husbands for the first time in their lives. And from what I've seen from the men who come out on top at the end of that, when I say on top, I mean earning more than your wife. Yes, because that is a better situation. Again, controversial opinion. Even if it's, I don't care if it's $5 more. I got you. Is to put away the alcohol. Keep yourself in a positive environment, whether it's church or whatever. Focus. Be okay with starting small. Yes, you might be out earning me right now, and you build. Do not get distracted. Don't fall for scams. I think scams are very directed towards immigrants that first come in, so on and so forth, right? Same thing with passport bros going to another country. I'm sure there's a lot that they can fall into there. But those are my opinions here in this topic. But there are other people who have more strict opinions like, hey, if I was a man from another country, if I was a man from Nigeria and I was married, I wouldn't fly my wife over here if I didn't really trust her to stick with me. Don't believe me? Check it out for yourself.
If I was a man that lived in a different country other than America, I would never bring my woman in this country. Unfortunately, some of the things that go on in this country, they take women's side a lot for a good reason. And sometimes the women, they follow their friends. They follow their friends and what their friends are doing, and they start to do it. So it won't work. And don't get it wrong, because I know a lot of you guys going to say, oh, because African men are looking for a slave as a wife. No, they're not looking for a slave as a wife. They're looking for a wife that wants to be a wife. Okay? It's a difference. The whole point of relationship is to educate each other and learn to respect each other. If I can't tell you something and you can't listen because you think you have money of your own, then it's no point. Now, don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. That doesn't mean you come to this country, you have many, many women, and you go back to your woman. Don't get it wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if I was a man that was not living in this country, I would not bring my wife to live in this country. That's it.
You guys heard it for yourself. And trust me when I say that she's not saying this based off her own opinion. She's seen this happen countless of times. I've also seen it happen a few times myself. And the chicks usually end up in a very terrible situation because as a man, if you can get yourself together and really hunker down and let go of those vices and focus, it's pretty easy to pick yourself up again and get a new wife who you'd almost in that situation be more strict, know what you want more, be able to decipher the type of person who wouldn't really vibe well with your expectations, and of course, get a prenup because we know 86% of people who do divorce get remarried. It's just what it is. Let's got a few comments. And you know what? I want to check out comments from this first video that we saw. Top comment here says, a lot of opportunists out there. If you want to marry, marry where you are, both men and women. What do you think? Somebody else here says, my own left within 7 months. Mercy. And this commenter responded back and says, I don't blame the women running away. How can you go from 1 month and marry her? Thank you, bro, for the advice. Marry where you are. Did he marry her in 1 month? Maybe I wasn't listening well enough. Somebody else who says, maybe she couldn't find her way back home. There's another commenter that says, and I think I'm just going to roughly read this because it's kind of written up all messed up. That means she had somebody waiting for her all along. I don't really think so. I don't think so. I think there are people who plan this. I think there are people who don't know themselves, right? They think they're going to come here to the US and then they get distracted. There's a lot of opportunity here. And people in this country don't understand just how much opportunity, how much better there's no better place to be, hands down. Hands down. Sure, you may feel strongly about how another place is better than this other place, but if you look at the vast number of people who are fighting tooth and nail to get to the US, if you're looking at it analytically, this is by far the best that it gets for most people in general when it comes to what they want and are looking for. I know people prefer living in other countries. I know that. But the far majority of people look at the US like, that's final destination in a good way. Another person here added, it happened to my next door neighbor. Oh, wow. Goes on to say, my neighbor filed for a girl and brought her from Nigeria to the USA. 3 months later, she disappeared and left a note. She moved to a different state. He's relying on me to help find her because he's not good with computers. Wow. Are you guys listening to this? I really want you guys to picture this. These are sort of like, what would you call this? Some type of like a love scam, except you're not getting catfished. Like it's the actual chick at the airport. When you get there, it's actually her. She may actually have a relationship with you. You may get a bit of that experience, but then she just disappears. And the man's not that great with computers and he's getting got. Eesh. Somebody else here says, why did she leave? Women don't stay where they are not safe. Man, please. Somebody responded back and says she was safe when she was preparing for the papers. Right. when she was signing those documents to get on that plane and get on Emirates, she felt safe then, safe as she's ever felt. Drink the coffee.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Another person who says it happened to my brother at Paris. She leaves him for a rich white man. Wow. Another person who says we haven't heard the other side of the story. Another person who added, these men are not telling the true story of what made their wives leave them. One day, the truth of everything will come out.
If you know you've never treated your wife fairly back home, like you didn't treat her right back home, and you want to bring her to America, my brother, go and appease the goddess first. Go and apologize for your sins. Mommy, I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to prove a point. You get to the point now. Otherwise, you will cry. You will cry like baby. How long you will cry, I don't know. But you say cry, that one is for sure. You must definitely cry. After all I did for her, I brought her to America and she left me. She will leave you like yesterday. You get to the point now. Go and appease the goddess before you think of bringing her here.
You know what? And I do want to double down on something. I do think that there's a real point being made right here. There are a lot of men who come from other countries and move to the West who put their women through it. A lot, right? Because a good number of them. And what you have there when they come here is that they don't realize that they can't, do things like they may be accustomed to. And this isn't just a matter of just simple abuse, because that happens too, but that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Because I expect that I don't have to sit here and say, oh yeah, if you're over there beating your woman in whatever country and you bring her here, she's going to flee. Someone has to explain that to you, like putting your hands, then, you deserve that to happen, right? But what I'm talking about here is people don't understand dynamics that men in the West naturally just simply understand because they get it. For example, you can't migrate to a country like this, and this is what typically happens, and think that you're not going to walk into a kitchen, ever wash a dish, ever fix a sandwich, and never clean any surface of the household. That's just plain ridiculous. But this happens. And I get it. There are men out there who brag about how they don't do any of that. But we know the majority of men here in this country help out with chores. I do. I help out around the house. And it's something that you do because if both people are working and nobody's a stay-at-home mom or dad, then you're going to have to pitch in some form or fashion. The other big thing is that they don't understand I'm talking about the men who come here and they put too much burden on their wives, or the expectation is a bit too high. They don't understand that you've moved from a community-centered type lifestyle and living situation to a more isolated, independent, individualistic society. And in that type of situation, it's just the two of you. And the dynamics change, and you need to help out to a degree. Not take 50-50. There's no such thing as 50-50, right? But you can help out.
All of you don't know that these women see these things, but because of the custom of where they are, they can't do anything. But the moment they have the opportunity to do something, they will show you pepper. You get to the point now, they will put pepper inside your eyes, then you will cry. You will cry like baby. After all I did for her, women are this, women are that, but forgetting how you treated her. If you know you've never treated her right back home, go and apologize for your sins now. Go and apologize for your sins now to avoid story that touches the heart. You get to the point now. Peace and love.
He says avoid a story that touches the heart. What do you guys think? I think I'm going to end it right here. A word to the wise is enough. I heard about this. Question is, why didn't you treat her right in the first place? Another person who says, free advice. Even me, I'm going to change my colors. Hilarious. Of course, these are real stories. These are real people being affected. These are real situations happening today. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.